disproportionately and likely fatally afflicted
get volume restored to the video. So just as soon as that happens, we'll go forward. I guess they can see us, they just can't hear us this time. So we're also on care. And on channel 24, I understand the volume is there and they can hear us. So sorry about the difficulty. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Maestas. Please introduce yourself and your role, and thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. My name again is Leo Maestas. I'm the Emergency Manager for San Miguel County, City of Las Vegas. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the community for continuing their efforts with practicing social distancing and personal hygiene. At this time, I'd like to give a little bit of an update as to how San Miguel County and City of Las Vegas is dealing with the pandemic. As of yesterday, Mayor is correct in saying that we had 3 confirmed cases, 2 out of our hospital and 1 out of our detention center. Moments ago, I called from our local hospital that we have a third case as of today. So the whole facility is being tested. That is incarcerated individuals along with anybody that works in facility. As you can see, our numbers at the state level continue to rise daily. Sometimes they drop. Tests have been done that day in what county that those tests have been done. We also wanted to let the community know that we've taken a lot of efforts in coordination with the Secretary of State's office to have an environment at the county courthouse. All individuals coming in to vote will be asked to either have their own mask or we provide them with one so that they can vote in a clean and safe environment. Again, there's testing going on weekly at our hospital. Again, with our public health office on Mondays and Wednesdays, there's 2-hour on both Mondays and Wednesdays that we're doing testing. That is by appointment only. You call the number and you schedule an appointment. You drive up and they'll come out and do the testing. There is a lot of guidance on masks and what should and shouldn't be worn. I think I'll let Dr. Tafoya touch base on that. But we do want to stress to the community that we've been doing well at this point. But as you can see, we're having a little bit of spike in numbers. That's not to say that we don't know if we have community spread or are isolated cases. But let's practice that community spread, and let's take all precautions that we need to keep ourselves and our families safe at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Maestas. Dr. Tafoya, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Dr. Tafoya from Sunrise Medical Group here in Las Vegas, and I'm here today to just kind of talk about the importance of the masks. So originally we were told masks used for this, and it was mostly because. However, after much research into what went on in China, we have found that the masks were actually very useful in preventing the spread of the disease. And so the recommendation is so that if you have the virus yourself, but you don't have symptoms, or if you do have symptoms, it'll prevent you from bringing it to others. Men who get this virus may have 0 symptoms and are still contagious to others. So wearing a facial covering is highly recommended to decrease the spread of the virus. The city's done a great job with a lot of the social distancing measures. We've had very low cases compared to some other places, but it's official, it's here, and it's in the community. And so now is the time for us to really take this seriously and follow these instructions. And so I'm glad that our mayor has decided to put this executive order into place so that we can keep our loved ones and ourselves safe. If you look at the language that's involved in the executive order, it is very closely following the CDC guidelines, and so we understand that not everybody is going to be able to get masks because there's a huge shortage of them. And so I highly recommend you follow the instructions provided as far as what you can do on masks. Bring any mask or covering that's cloth, and it needs to cover your mouth and nose. Just covering your mouth is not very helpful. I've seen a lot of employees here in Las Vegas wearing masks because it's fired by the company, but they have them pulled down and only covering their mouths. That isn't effective at all, and so we are going to have to be looking out for that and reporting if that is happening. And again, the main purpose of this is to protect others from somebody affected. And even mask on, we're still highly recommending the social distancing. 6 feet between you and the person near you. The combination of all these efforts that are going to decrease the spread of the virus. And so right now, the next few weeks here are going to be really key to in Las Vegas. And so if we can keep doing the great things that we've already been doing and add these measures, I think we can really slow the progression of disease in Las Vegas down. So thank you guys all for participating and for following our guidelines. And it's not going to last forever, guys. We're going to get past this, but in time we need to do what's right for our loved ones.
Thank you, Dr. Tafoya. And Tafoya also in the community, he's a community doctor, but I always call on him for advice, and so he's the Las Vegas doctor, I think. We've never gone on staff, but you're hearing. Jesus, you might want to also let them know that you have a page that you post on.
Yeah, I post videos on my Facebook page, Jesus Tafoya MD, and I'm trying to give you guys updates on there as best as I can with the information that we have. Again, there's still a lot that's unknown, so sometimes information that we have at that time that changes, so I do my best efforts to go and correct anything that I may have misspoken about or something that has changed. And so I invite you guys to look at my page, and a lot of people have said that they've really felt relieved after viewing the videos, so I invite you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tafoya. I also real quickly like to mention that we have two councilmen here join us today, and that's Michael Montoya and David Romero. Thank you for coming. We also have the city manager, Bill Taylor, the community development director, Bill Hendrickson, the city police chief, Mr. David. Then we also have Mr. Gallegos, the assistant chief. David or Dan?
David.
Sorry. One of these days. And we also have our assistant city clerk with us, Danielle Sena, here as well. We also have members of the press, Mr. Phil Schreiner? No. Share. The Las Vegas Optic, thank you, sir, for being here. Did I miss anybody else? Chief Tafoya, would you, Chief Tafoya, where did I get that from? Chief Lopez, Sheriff Lopez, would you like to say a few words? Please come on up. Introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me, Mayor.
Sure thing.
And again, thank you for your work and efforts. And I just want to remind everybody that, in dealing with this pandemic, the COVID-19, it's definitely a difficult time for all of us. And I can assure you that the team of public officials that you have working for you in your community is strong, and they're here for the right reasons. I see it, and I'm really appreciative to be a part of that group. And we work very closely together and trying to make the best decisions for our community, for keeping our community safe and getting through this. We've been able to really put forth the fact that our community has really limited the spread of the virus up until this point. We knew it was coming. We didn't know when. And as Leo had mentioned, we have a few confirmed cases. We are doing some testing up to identify if there is more possible spread and to identify if there is community spread as well. For those of you that don't know, community spread is spread throughout our community. So if you're out and about, there's a potential that you could catch it. And so that's what we're really trying to avoid at this point. So as we move through this, I know our team has been working very closely with many of the community members that are very active, and we've put together our 100% community initiative. In doing that, we've identified a website. I'll give those to you now, and a 1-800 number that you can call if you're in need of some kind of assistance or resources. So the website is 10vitalservicesnm.org. Again, it's 10vitalservicesnm.org. And the 1-800 number is 1-866-322-0030. I'll repeat that again. It's 1-866-322-0030. And so as we move through this, I know it's already been quite some time, and we're projecting that it's going to be a while longer. So I know people are becoming restless, and that's something that I really wanted to address, because I know I was really proud, and I know even in discussions with the mayor and with Dr. Tafoya of how good the community was doing as far as following orders from the state and from our governor. And recently I've seen that people are starting to fall out of those orders, and you're seeing more movement in the community and in the public. And we do ask that you continue to abide by what's been put out there, because those are our subject matter experts, and they're really doing a good job at identifying ways that we can limit the spread. That's the goal here, is to limit the spread, so that our healthcare facilities can provide care to those that do become infected, and if we become overrun, then we won't have adequate care for those individuals. So it's super important that we abide by the orders and the direction that's given. So again, I ask that you just be patient and work with us on keeping everybody safe as we move through this time.
Chris, could you talk just briefly about what happened at the jail and how that's being handled for those of us who may have people that are incarcerated or relatives that work there?
So right now, again, we're testing anybody that's been at the jail, staff members, inmates, and as we move forward, we're going to be looking at potential spread. So when I say that, anytime that there's a positive, our health office will start looking at surveillance and who they've been around, where they've been, so we can start trying to identify if there is what you call community spread. And so, once we get notice back from our State Department as far as if we do have more positives, we're hoping that we don't, but in the case that we do, then we're going to really have to start moving towards getting a lot more individuals tested to see if there is some kind of spread there as well. I know as far as law enforcement goes, we're also looking at our staff and possible infection there as well, as well as other agencies are doing the same. So this is a critical time for us. Like I said, I've been really proud of the community and the mission and them doing their part. We all have to do our part. And so as we move forward, I just ask that we continue to move forward with that mission, and together, 100% community, we can get through this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris. I know that it's very frustrating when people have loved ones that might be incarcerated there, and they're feeling a little, tense about the situation. So know that they're on it, that they're working on it. They have a plan. Department of Health is coming in as well to assist. So know that you're working very hard to keep your loved ones safe. I'd like to recognize at this point Chief David Bibb, if you'd like to come up and say a couple of words. Thank you, Mr. Lopez, for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
I would just like to assure the community that the police department is still going to be there for them. Anything that they need, law enforcement-wise or otherwise, we are going to respond. As far as our interaction with the jail, the requirement now is that the officer as well as the arrested party be wearing the face mask and gloves. So we will not be infecting the population further. I would also like to thank Chief of Police Clarence Romero from Highlands University, who has donated 50 bottles of hand sanitizer to the police department.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
we're going to be there for the community,
Yes.
and we're going to take care of you.
Thank you. I don't know how far this is going to go, or if people are going to start calling the police department, to enforce this if they see people who maybe not be wearing a mask. But we're asking store proprietors and managers and store staff to at least remind the customer first before calling or overburdening the police department, to have some consideration. So do as much as you can personally, and then if people don't comply, then, we'll take it to the next step. The other thing is, my good friend Pat Lehan over at the Las Vegas Peace and Justice Center just said if somebody needs a mask, for you to call the Las Vegas Peace and Justice Center at 425-3840, 425-3840, and they will work hard at getting you a mask. So, thank you. Are there any questions from anybody? No?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, if you're open up for questions, we had a lot of calls from people this morning waiting for your conference call, and they were going to be listening. But one lady called me this morning, wanted to know that concerning masks, that if maybe you would consider placing, she called it a workforce or task force of people that would make masks. Her concern was that there's a shortage of masks, and if people don't have masks, then she suggested that I'll mention the name because I'm sure she's listening. She said, why don't you ask Walmart to step up to the plate and donate all the fabric, all the material that is needed to make masks? She was very confident that it wouldn't take long to get a task force together of people in town to make the masks.
Joseph, I just got off the phone prior to entering this building with Matt Probst. He is a PA over at El Centro, and he is doing a fabulous job at spearheading the 100% community project. They already have identified several people in town that are going to be making the masks, and then they're using models from other cities to see if we can get the production of masks going. We already have somebody at the United World College, Naomi, who has graciously done so much work in donating masks. And yes, I would appeal to anybody out there with a sewing machine. Dr. Tafoya has one, but doesn't know how to use it, he told me. So anybody with a sewing machine to assist in that effort.
Well, that sounds good, Mayor. Thank you for that information, and thanks, Mr. Probst, for doing that.
Sure.
And his staff as well.
Sure.
Someone else called wanting to know if you could clarify, how is this going to be enforced? Are police going to be visiting or patrolling the stores? That was one question.
We're going to leave it up to the public first, Joseph. We're going to rely on the cooperation of our public.
The self-police themselves?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so again, I'd like to say that please don't overburden the police department with calls. If you see someone not wearing a mask, you simply ask the proprietor of the business to ask the customer to please wear a mask.
Yeah. Someone also called and told me that she was very concerned because when she goes to the stores, she sees very few employees wearing masks. She feels very uncomfortable walking up to a counter to a clerk, and the clerk is not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And she notices that clerks are not staying 6 feet apart themselves. So she's wondering, she's concerned that if somebody in the store, whether it's the staff or instead, she said very few of the patrons, the shoppers, are wearing masks. She's concerned because she has other health issues, that if somebody sneezes, and I guess this would be a question for Dr. Tafoya, but she says that she understands that the virus can linger in the air, but she wasn't sure for how long, and she's concerned about that. So that was one question. Someone else called another question wanting clarification. Are masks necessary if you are going for a walk or if you are working in your yard, if you're outside in your yard? And
I'll send those questions over to Dr. Tafoya. Dr. Tafoya?
Okay.
So as far as being in your own yard, you're most likely not needing a mask because you're in your yard and you're more than 6 feet away from others. And those people within their homes are already exposed to each other by living together. And so I would say in your own property, you probably don't need one. But once you get out of your property, I think to be in compliance with the city ordinance, it would be ideal to be wearing a mask. Even if you're out walking, a lot of times you're not planning to run into people while you're out for a walk, but it happens. And so you can be prepared for that. As far as the employees and people out shopping not wearing masks, that's exactly why this order is happening, because we're not seeing enough of it in the community right now. And so we've stepped up to the plate to say this is something we need to take care of, especially now that we have more cases in town. As far as sneezing, the respiratory particles created by sneezing or coughing, they don't linger for very long, but they live on surfaces for a good while. And so if somebody coughs or sneezes and you're not within 6 feet of them, there's a good chance it's not going to stick around in the air very long because the droplets are heavy. But they are going to land on surfaces that we touch. So it's really important to limit how many surfaces you're touching, and definitely avoid touching your face until you have had time to wash your hands very thoroughly.
Thank you, Dr. Tafoya. Mr. Baca, I'm going to move this right along, just for the sake
You
of...
had another question, Mr. Mayor?
I'll take one more. Thanks.
A couple of more questions.
Go ahead.
Someone wanted to know if they're in their car and other people in their car, I guess they do have to wear, all of them would have to wear a mask. The other thing is, someone called in saying with a concern, people are having gatherings, but neighbors are afraid to call the police. How can that be handled?
I'll leave that up to the police department to answer that. Go ahead, David.
So to echo the conversation I had with the mayor prior to this, this is not to be viewed as a punitive action. This is a public health and safety action. If the police department is called to such a gathering, our initial response is going to be one of education.
Thank you. Joseph, I have to move this right along, but I'd like to give out a couple of phone numbers for people who are interested in being tested. You could do this by appointment by calling the following numbers. El Centro, 425-6788, 425-6788, or New Mexico Public Health, and that number is 425-9368, 425-9368, and it's by appointment only. You can call them and set up a time for to get you tested. I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank the listening and the watching public. That concludes this press conference, and I appreciate everybody's time and everybody's efforts, and let's be safe, and I wish everybody the best of health. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank everyone that's there in the chambers with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.